It's dumb. Probably just end it there. It's dumb. The whole thing is dumb. I don't like it. It's annoying. People care about it too much. It's a popularity contest. It's dumb. I realize that it is very in vogue on the internet to just hate on things with no reason. So I'm going to supply reasons that you can then decide for yourself whether they're right or not. But some things just need to be hated on a little more. Right? It's also one of those things where it's like there is a difference between Ronaldo and Messi winning like 7 or 8 of these things and somebody just winning one for being the perceived best player in the world over that particular calendar year. And it swings back and forth in terms of whether we're valuing people that help score the goals or whether we're valuing the overall best player, which is clearly where it is flipped in this particular direction. The Ballon d'Or is invested with so much unnecessary and stupid hype that it does not deserve, that it should not have. Right? I mean, do you all remember? Not that I remember, because I'm not that old as you think I might be. When this award was not even, like, you couldn't even give it to somebody outside of Europe. Like, Pelé never had the opportunity to win the Ballon d'Or because it could not be given to somebody that was playing, like, that was not European. Right? Like, it wasn't possible to give it. Like, this award is vested with way too much historical importance. I honestly think, now that I'm drilling down into it, as we so often do on this channel by me just talking this out, you're my therapy session, that Ronaldo and Messi have made this award a bigger deal than it was. Because before Ronaldo and Messi, this award, it existed in a way where, like, you were proud that somebody had won it if you'd won it. You recognize that they were the best player in the world for that particular year, but it wasn't taken down in the same way as, like, does everybody sit here and go Pavel Nedved's one of the greats of all time because he won a Ballon d'Or? No. But we entered into a 20-year period where basically 2 guys won it every time. 2 of the 3 or 4 best players in the history of soccer, football, right? Like 3 or 4, maybe even just straight up 1-2 in terms of the best players that have ever lived and breathed and kicked the ball in the general direction of a net, ever, of all time. And they just own the award. And so people grew up in this era where, and I am people here, right? Where the Ballon d'Or was associated with that level of greatness. Where winning the Ballon d'Or meant that you were in the argument for the best player of all time. And even when Luka Modric won it, it was like winning the Ballon d'Or was a marker of you were in the argument for best player of all time, or you just did something that nobody has ever seen before. You just took Croatia to the World Cup final, right? That level of World Cup nonsense hasn't really happened since like the 60s in terms of actually making it to the final. Right, semifinal, you got Turkey, you got South Korea, like teams that could sneak into the final. That was same World Cup. That was probably, that was wild, right? Teams that maybe have made it all the way to the semifinal. But in terms of a crazy team making the World Cup final, it was unprecedented for the nation of Croatia, less than 4 million people, to actually make it to that point, and the best player on that team deserved to be recognized for it. So I don't think that devalued it necessarily in a sense. Right? And then you give it to Karim Benzema and you're like, okay, well, Ronaldo and Messi didn't have particularly amazing years, so we just gave it to a generational striker who in other eras would have won 1 or 2 Ballon d'Ors like so many other great generational strikers before him. Right? I was going to say he should have won 15, but if there's a very convincing conspiracy theory about that. Just Google Benzema 15 and you'll find it. Very, very interesting deep dive. Totally recommend. Highly recommend. But the Ballon d'Or was invested with this importance that, like, if you win it, you are one of the greatest players of all time. You are Messi, you are Ronaldo, or other Ronaldo. Where before, because, normally there aren't 2 all-time greats battling for this sort of award at the same time. It just went to the person that had the best season. And that is the season we ended up with. Messi's in MLS, Ronaldo's in Saudi, right? They're both still very good. But they're not actually going to be able to compete for the Ballon d'Or, the Golden Ball. I'm tired of trying to speak French. My tongue does not agree with the French language. It's probably all the McDonald's I ate as a child or something. I don't know. But the Golden Ball here, which is what Ballon d'Or means in French, by the way, which I really appreciate somebody telling me that eventually so that I could stop saying it. Although I just said it again, kind of counteracted anything. My point is they're not going to be in that conversation anymore. So we enter into this realm that we had in the pre-Messi Ronaldo era, which is you're awarding it to somebody that maybe had the best, the best season here or the best season there. But the new stars are just starting to get oxygen. Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe are just starting to be acknowledged as like the best players in the world. Vinny Jr. is another one. People have, obviously he is a lightning rod for quote unquote controversy, but like relative to a lot of the controversies in the football world, it's not controversy. It's just people deciding whether they like him or not, which he's definitely somebody that flops a lot and antagonizes a lot of people and is fairly unlikable by basically any measurement, but he's obviously one of the best players in the world as well. And we're all getting comfortable with this new reality where those guys are that. And so everybody's shitting all over the Ballon d'Or, but my argument is that nobody should care, right? That's what I started this with. My argument is nobody should care about this award. Up until this year, okay, this award was hosted, just in case you didn't know, by France Football, right? This is basically a publication in France that started handing out a golden ball, and apparently they caught lightning in a bottle, right? And everybody started to acknowledge that this was the award for basically player of the year, right? It gets handed out on different timelines. That's why there seems to be some confusion at all times about what is included in it and what is not. This instance of the Ballon d'Or was for only the third time ever rewarding a season instead of a year. If you're wondering why this seemed to be happening a bit differently, this is the third time ever that it recognized the 23-24 season instead of just like a year. It has in past years been like for a calendar year, January 1st to December 31st, which is hilarious that they switched it in that way, because when you look at the Premier League player of the season, I saw this on Twitter and then had to look it up to make sure it's true because it seems so ridiculous. But when you look up the Premier League player of the season, Rodri isn't even nominated. Foden, Haaland, Isaac, Odegaard, Palmer, Rice, Van Dijk, and Ollie Watkins are nominated for the Premier League Player of the Season for the 2023-2024 season, right? That obviously doesn't include the Euros that Rodri played at, but like, did that make all of the difference in the world to take him from I'm not even nominated for the Premier League Player of the Season to I'm the best player in the world? You can be the judge of that. Should Rodri have been nominated for this? Probably, but it just highlights how stupid all of this stuff is, right? And it's just a bunch of journalists from all over the world that are invited to vote on this. There is no actual hard anything, and anytime you have a large group of people that are just coming together to vote on something, awareness and like a PR campaign is important. I'm aware of this. In the United States, we have something called the Heisman Trophy. This goes to the best college American football player. It's one of the most prestigious individual trophies you can win. Incredibly historic. And colleges, the actual universities themselves, will fund elaborate PR campaigns where they mail and email a bunch of stuff to the voters for it that basically amount to like, hey, check this guy out. He's pretty sick. Here's his highlight tape and everything. If you hadn't heard about him, here's a picture of all the fans wearing his jersey and everything. And look, clubs are doing the same thing for the Ballon d'Or. If you think that they're not, you're just naive. Winning the Ballon d'Or at a club is hugely prestigious. Manchester City now has its Ballon d'Or winner that it can hang its hat on. It is a mark of greatness to have, quote unquote, the best player on your team that year in the world. It's a great advertising move for your club. So the clubs are all involved in the PR, right? And we're electing the class president, which does that matter? No. In some senses, it's kind of cool, right? You get all of these journalists together, right? And then they vote on who's supposed to be the best player in the world. And that in itself is like a cool practice. My issue comes in with how invested people are in this, right? The giant, over-the-top, self-aggrandizing award ceremony. Look, if I was invited to sit next to IShowSpeed, I would sit there. It would be a cool thing to experience. But am I ever going to watch it on TV? No, right? All I need to do is see all of the clips of people you kind of forgotten about or dignitaries you don't know and don't care about waffling on about something for too long, a guest musical performance from a B-list artist. No offense to them. I'm a no-list artist. You know, I'm not trying to diss the artist, whoever happened to perform this year. I don't even know who it was. I'm just taking a swing at it. You know, am I lashing out? Am I having a meltdown? Am I grumpy? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm particularly grumpy. I'm almost making this video because I know I have to. I don't want to. I don't care. Rodri won. Cool. I don't care. Awesome. It's a popularity contest. Rodri is arguably the best player in the world. This is going to help him settle that argument. A bunch of journalists submitted their vote to France Football saying that, you know, he was number one. And to be honest, there's been a year-long PR campaign for him to win it, like the people that love real football to give it to him. But you know what? If it had gone to Vinny, who cares? Vinny is also clearly one of the best players in the world. He is in the argument for being the best player in the world. The entire thing it's massively subjective. Rodri's probably never going to win it again because that's how this is normally supposed to work. So if I'm king of the world, here's my plan. I'm king of the world, and I am going to decide what we are supposed to do about the Ballon d'Or. Leave it alone. If France Football, now partnered with UEFA, wants to hold a journalist vote, it's not even the coaches. It's journalists. Look, I went to journalism school. I have a lot of respect for the profession of journalism. But there's nothing about being a journalist that makes you qualified to appraise who the best player in the world is more than anybody else. The skills you need for journalism are writing, right? A moral compass, truthfulness, an understanding of journalistic practice when it comes to gathering of and reporting facts, like those sorts of things. It does not require an in-depth understanding, right? Although some of these people, I'm guessing, are opinion columnists where maybe they got that position because their way to express what is awesome about a particular player is more extravagant, more delectable for the ears, just to break out the vocab a little bit. Than the next person. But seriously, there's nothing about being a journalist that makes you more qualified to decide this. That is another part of this that always, like, if this was the coaches or the players, it would make more sense, right? You would be able to give a little bit more to it. If every player on every registered squad in the top 5 leagues, or, you know, whatever, every player in the world had one vote. I don't even know how you do that, right? Then you would add more credence to it. They'd be like, yeah, all the people that actually do this for a living are the ones that are picking it. But I'm getting distracted. If I'm king of the world, right, the Ballon d'Or can exist. That's fine. You know, there's a player's player of the year. Well, this is just like the fans' player of the year, and that's it. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with the Golden Ball existing and having its own thing going on, but the amount of discussion around it, the amount of drama, like with Real Madrid not even showing up. I might make an entire other video about that because that was just some of the just unbelievably weird behavior there. But yeah, we don't need a giant award ceremony. France Football, just print the damn paper. Just put it right on the front of L'Équipe and just, boom, you know, that's who we're giving it to this year. This was the journalism vote. Congratulations. We have officially gone too far in the direction of, like, this is the end-all, be-all sort of thing. It's an award voted on by journalists, given by an organization in France to who they believe is the best player over either the calendar year of a season, which is neat. But that's all it is. Shoot, maybe I'll do it. I'll hold a poll of you guys. You can do it in the comments. Who do you think the best player in the world is? I'll get J-Lo to come perform. We'll see what happens.